Welcome back to Aliyah and Chill. I'm your host, and today we're exploring the art of Israeli parking etiquette, where etiquette is a loosely interpreted concept. Parking spaces are more like suggestions, and leaving your phone number on your windshield makes you practically a diplomat. Fair warning, this episode contains themes of automotive creativity, spatial denial, and the gradual realization that parking laws are apparently guidelines for the spiritually weak. So there I was, a fresh Ole Chadash with American parking sensibilities, thinking parking would be straightforward. Find a space, park between the lines, walk away. I was about to learn that Israeli parking is less about following rules and more about expressing your personality through automotive placement. My first lesson came from watching my neighbor, David, park his car. I observed from my balcony as he approached what appeared to be a space clearly marked "No Parking" in Hebrew, English, and what looked like pictographs for the illiterate. David studied the signs carefully, checked his phone, looked around for enforcement officers, then parked directly under the "No Parking" sign. "David," I called down, "that's a no parking zone." "Only on weekdays," he called back. "It's Tuesday afternoon." Different rules. I was learning that Israeli parking operates on a complex temporal legal system that requires advanced degrees in both law and psychology to understand. The double parking culture was my next education. In most countries, double parking is an emergency measure that causes shame and anxiety. In Israel, double parking is a social contract that requires phone number exchanges and mutual respect for parking urgency. I watched a masterclass in double parking etiquette outside my local cafe. Step 1, park blocking someone else's car. Step 2, leave phone number prominently displayed on windshield. Step 3, write estimated return time, always optimistic. Step 4, add polite note explaining your parking logic. Step 5, pray the blocked car owner appreciates your honesty. The notes were works of art. "Slicha, back in 10 minutes. Call if emergency. Thanks for understanding. Yossi 054-XXX-XXXX. Sorry, doctor appointment. We'll move ASAP. Coffee is on me, Shira. Double parked but watching from cafe. Wave if you need to leave. Guy in red shirt." The sidewalk parking phenomenon required anthropological study. I discovered that in Israeli parking philosophy, sidewalks aren't pedestrian paths. They're potential parking spaces with pedestrian rights of way. The unwritten rules seem to be: leave enough space for wheelchairs. Barely. Don't block storefronts, unless it's Sunday and they're closed. Avoid parking on corners, unless you're really desperate. Emergency vehicles have priority, negotiable during rush hour. I watched a grandmother with a stroller navigate around 3 sidewalk-parked cars with the skill of a professional slalom skier, muttering what I assumed were creative Hebrew expressions about parking creativity. The parking space creation was pure Israeli innovation. I witnessed people creating parking spaces in locations that defied physics. 2 compact cars fitting in 1 regular space, with millimeters to spare, parallel parking in spaces shorter than the car, using advanced geometry, creating diagonal spaces where only parallel existed, parking half on curb, half on street, utilizing vertical space, the legendary nose-first into parallel space technique. "How did you fit there?" I asked a woman squeezing out of her car through what appeared to be a space meant for bicycles. "Experience," she replied proudly. 10 years of Tel Aviv parking teaches you to think creatively about space. Isn't that illegal? Legal. Illegal. These are theoretical concepts. Practical parking is about solving problems. The parking disputes resolution was like witnessing diplomatic negotiations. Scene: 2 cars wanting the same space. Driver 1, "I was here first." Driver 2, "But I'm closer." Driver 1, "I have my signal on." Driver 2, I'm pregnant. Driver 1, I'm late for my grandmother's surgery. Driver 2, my grandmother is the surgery. Resolution. They somehow both park in the space by redefining what constitutes one parking space. The neighborhood parking politics were intense. Each street had its own unwritten hierarchy. Residents versus visitors. Residents usually win. Long-term versus short-term parkers, negotiable. Parents with kids versus everyone else. Kids are powerful leverage. People with disabilities versus able-bodied. Clear winner. Old-timers versus newcomers. Experience counts. My building developed its own internal parking constitution. Mrs. Cohen gets the shady spot because she's 80 inches tall. Apartment 4 gets priority on Fridays for Shabbat prep. The guy with the motorcycle can park anywhere because it's tiny. Visitors park on the street unless it's raining. The enforcement patterns required detective work to understand. Parking tickets seem to follow mysterious algorithms. Tourist areas, heavily enforced, easy targets. Residential areas, moderately enforced, depends on complaints. Business districts, sporadically enforced, economic considerations. Outside government buildings, extremely enforced, bureaucratic priorities. Near schools, chaos zone. Parents are desperate. Enforcers are sympathetic. I learned to read the signs. If you see multiple cars parked illegally in the same way, it's probably temporarily acceptable. If you're the only one, you're probably getting a ticket. The seasonal parking variations added complexity. Summer. Everyone wants shade. Wars break out over tree-covered spaces. Winter. Anywhere dry is acceptable. Puddle avoidance is priority. Holiday seasons. Normal rules suspended. Survival parking activated. Wedding season. Cars parked in geometric patterns that defy description beach season. Parking creativity reaches Olympic levels. During Passover, I watched someone park perpendicular to the curb because it's only for 8 days and everyone's family is visiting from abroad. The technology integration was fascinating. WhatsApp groups dedicated to neighborhood parking updates. Blue Honda, leaving spot on Dizengoff in 5 minutes. Parking enforcement on Ben Yehuda. Avoid. Free spot behind the synagogue. Grab it quick. Anyone know whose white Mazda is blocking my car? Need to leave for wedding. Real-time parking intelligence had turned every neighborhood into a collaborative surveillance network. The evolution from tourist to local was measurable through parking behavior. Week 1. Park only in clearly marked legal spaces. Week 2. Park in questionable spaces if everyone else is doing it. Month 1. Leave phone number when double parking. Month 3. Park on sidewalks with confidence. Month 6. Create parking spaces where none existed before. Year 1. Become parking enforcement predictor for neighbors. I knew I'd fully integrated when Mrs. Goldstein asked my advice about parking for her son's wedding. You understand parking psychology now. Where should we tell guests to park for minimal tickets but maximum convenience? The beautiful chaos of it all was that somehow it worked. Despite the apparent lawlessness, people generally got where they needed to go, cars rarely got seriously damaged, and the system self-regulated through a combination of mutual consideration and creative problem-solving. Plus, I'd developed spatial reasoning skills that would impress NASA engineers and negotiation techniques that could resolve international conflicts. That's all for today's episode of Aliyah and Chill. Remember, Israeli parking etiquette teaches you that rules are starting points for creative interpretation, and community cooperation can solve any spatial challenge. And hey, if mastering Israeli parking while maintaining your sanity and your car's paint job sounds more complex than quantum physics, maybe it's time to call Easy Aliyah's VIP concierge service. We'll teach you the unwritten rules of automotive diplomacy. Until next time, keep your phone number handy, your spatial reasoning sharp, and remember, in Israeli parking, creativity trumps convention.